Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing YouTube channel. And if you've spent a second here, you will know that I am on a mission to give you everything you need to be successful in your business through this channel. Now, as far as I'm aware, the way that you are successful in your business is by being more effective with your sales and marketing. So not only am I here giving you everything I know about sales and marketing, I also have news running now fortnightly, so you can know everything that's going on in the sales and marketing world. And I am dragging in anyone who has knowledge and experience to share with you about sales and marketing, which brings us then to today's guest. Today's guest is a marketing lecturer, marketing consultant, and marketing entrepreneur. As a lecturer, he has taught at 30 schools in 9 countries. As a consultant, he has worked with more than 400 businesses. And as an entrepreneur, he is developing technology that allows SMEs to set their own marketing strategy. Today's guest, all the way from Israel, is Danny Abramovich. Good afternoon or good morning, Danny, depending on where.
Hello, Martin. Hi, nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too. It's nice to see you also because this is our third attempt at this, isn't it, Danny? So we are on a mission to get this right this time. We've given it enough time to have forgotten completely what we spoke about before, so that's good. But we only have an hour. So I don't know if you remember the format, but there are now 5 questions. I don't know if there were 5 questions previously. The first is, how are you qualified to talk to us about your specialist subject? And if I remember correctly, your specialist subject is marketing strategy. Is that correct?
Marketing strategy, international marketing, and then going on from here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the second question is, who do you work with and how do you add value in their lives? The third question is, what is your recommendation for people who want to get better at their international marketing or their marketing strategy? The fourth question is, what should people read? And the fifth question is, who can you recommend, who can you introduce me to who might suffer a conversation like this with me? So those are the only 5 questions. Are you happy with those 5 questions?
Let's go ahead with the first one.
Okay, so the first one is, how are you qualified to talk to us about, can we focus on marketing strategy? Because I'm interested in that. Is that okay?
We can. Marketing is a science. It's a behavioral science. We can take it to different directions, and strategy is a word which is not very clear. It's very used, but not very clear, and often used wrongly. If you want to, we can select marketing strategy, but we can do
But
we
now
can do it
you've
in other
claimed
fronts as well.
now you've claimed that marketing is a behavioral science. I'm kind of interested in that as well. Okay, let's start. We'll start with the question: how are you qualified to talk to us about these things? Marketing being a behavioral science, strategic marketing, international marketing. How are you qualified?
So I'm comfortable to think and discuss this with you here today, and I'm happy to be here. It's because for many years I'm a consultant, so I listen to people and I talk to people and companies, of course, namely SMEs. You cannot handle 400 clients over 22 years if they're not SMEs, otherwise, there would be much less number of businesses to help. But the decision was SMEs, it's more eye level, it's more effective, and you learn a lot from your clients. Same for students. I have taught for so many years, again, more than 20. As you said, 9 countries became 11 countries. That's not an issue, but thousands of people, and you learn from them. They read a lot. They have good questions sometimes. They contradict you sometimes, depending on the culture. So you learn a lot. And marketing is not just about to add a word like strategy or international or a new venture or communication. It's first of all a state of mind, as far as I'm concerned. So you see, my hair is quite gray, and I have this experience. Even the shirt here is gray today, because of life is a colorful and interesting. But we have a lot of experience, and we're trying to share it here today as well. And it's all about this behavioral science, which means people, we know what they buy, but we don't know always why they buy. So we have to go into their mind and, like in psychology, to understand basic things like needs, wants, preferences, and so on and so on.
Okay, so let's go after this thing first. Nobody has ever been so bold as to tell me that marketing is a behavioral science. Behavioral science. Um, and so let's talk about that. Is it because I don't think people think of marketing as a science, do they? My experience is that people think that marketing is their opportunity to do whatever they want. This is their opportunity to really throw their character at their business and their creativity and all of these things. But I don't believe anyone's following any formulas. Are there formulas to marketing?
I think not really formulas. Those that tried to enhance formulas failed completely. I'm talking about the good old founders of modern marketing. So you have extensive books and you can read all your life theory about those theories, but these are formulas which are helping to think. When everything is open, you need sometimes guidelines. So guidelines are not bad, but in fact, there are no standards in this discipline. It's a discipline. And unfortunately, when I'm traveling around, I see people that have selected this discipline sometimes by not by default, just by saying, listen, finance is not for me, supply chain less, law is not really relevant for me. So what's left? HR or marketing, these kind of soft sciences, as we can call them. And then marketing is selected. And sometimes people come from sales, which is another parcours, another path. So I agree with you that it's not very attractive because on the one hand, there are not many formulas. I mean, the books are full of methodologies which are not really theoretical, more about thinking, less about doing. And other people prefer the doing part. Let's have a campaign, let's spend money, and create a message, and create a poster, and create a banner, and create a website, and a lot of buzzwords. There are many buzzwords, in fact. So we have a lot of dust in front of us. So something is not clear. What is this science on one end, and then on the other hand, there are so many methodologies which are very theoretical, and then that's how you can look at marketing. So let's start with the word science. Why not? It's a good side to give it a frame.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's imagine it were a science. And this was one of the first conversations you and I had about that there are standards for getting electrician type work done, or for plumbing work, or for accountancy work, or architecture work. But there are no standards, like international standards or even national standards, for how you go about doing marketing. And I think marketing is okay, electricity could kill you, like that's probably more important than marketing. But if you're running a business, I don't think there is anything more important than marketing. Because if you don't have customers, you're not in business. That's the way I think.
Yes, you can take it to. We're starting today in a macro approach. You can take it into the best marketers are ideologies, and ideologies you can include, religions and the way of countries, the way they want to reflect. There's a war going on in Eastern Europe, so there's a mission to use marketing tools for more ideological issues. We speak a lot about products, services, experiences, but let's not forget that marketing has been here since ever, since mankind is here, more or less, since the first person decided to believe in something. So you have an ideology. So it depends on what side you look at it. On one end, this very low line of production, the production floor is products and just sell it. And if you want to call yourself a marketer, just print a business card. Today, no need for printing, but you can call yourself from tomorrow on sales and marketing director, which sounds good, but what does it mean? Not much. On the other hand, you have people who are purely, in the university theoretical environment, researching forever, things that we will never use or never do or never learn from, but they have their own path of becoming a full professor in an university. And we are in between, somewhere in between, trying to help the businesses, trying to learn from the scholars. So I feel I'm in a good position in between. The practical side, the businesses, the small businesses really, fight their way through this challenging economy time. And on the other hand, you have a lot of scholars, thinkers, strategists, as they like to be called, that you can learn from as well. So you have to be open-minded and understand marketing is not a la carte. It's not a set menu, but I have learned throughout my experiences that if you try to give it certain frames and standards, you are helping more businesses and you're helping more students to become employees and entrepreneurs later.
Okay, good. I like that because you are probably the most academic of all of the people that I've spoken to. Because I've not spoken to very many academic people. So, of all of the people who've appeared so far, you are the most academic. Like, there's been trainers and speakers and those things, but you are like visiting lecturer with numbers of lecturers. They call me a lecturer in digital marketing when I teach the digital marketing course. Um, so I'm interested in this idea of the academic and how useful it is. So when I look at the methodologies, is that what you called them, or the programs? It seems to me that they are really just ways of thinking about things. It feels to me like people need triggers to get them thinking in the right way about marketing. What do you think to that idea?
Yeah, I mean, triggers is one thing. The other end is once you're young and motivated to find your way at work as an employee, normally to start with, you need to be disciplined. So you commit to a program, and a course can last hours, and studies can last years. And first of all, you show yourself that you're committed, whatever you study, whatever discipline you want to study. So first of all, is the ability to be focused on a mission, which is generally, good for life. And then you can focus on what you like. I'm partially like your screen is divided into two. I'm half into institutions, academic institutions, mainly in France and Italy, but again in other 9 countries to make 11 together. And then on the other hand, I meet my clients that they know that I disappear sometimes for a course or for a mission abroad. So I'm trying to do both, but I'm happy to fill in the position of the representative of the academy world, but on the practical side, because on the theoretical side, I criticize it myself.
Right. You see, I think essentially what it comes down to is that you're not qualified to talk or teach or do marketing until you've put some skin in the game. Like, you can talk about it, you can read as many books as you like, but for me, I don't give any credence to anyone until they have developed a product and launched a product and sold a product and satisfied customers and retained those customers. That for me is where the respect comes from. Now, clearly, you've done that because you've been running your business for, is it 25 years? 1998, so nearly 25 years.
No, I've established a limited company in the year 2000, but beforehand I was working for companies like MasterCard International and Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts in more than one country. So touching few industries which are more in, finance on one side, hospitality on the other side. So obviously, I had this drive to change things and not just to work in big corporations. That's what made me go for an MBA, specialized in marketing, and since then, that's what I do.
Yes. Okay. So it sounds to me like you're qualified to talk about marketing. That's the good news. You've answered the first question. Okay. So the second question then is, who do you work with and how do you add value in their lives?
Okay, so on one end, SMEs, SMBs, small, medium businesses, sometimes people who are not even there, they have a project in mind and they want to have someone to be assisted by for the very first moves. What should I do? People who have been in the past employees and they are new to this world of, I'm waking up in the morning and I have a great idea. I even have a great team, which is a good beginning. And then what can I do next, especially in the marketing side of things? So most of these clients are small and medium businesses that exist. They exist for years. sometimes even family businesses. It's one of my specializations. It's very delicate to go into a family. You cannot fire your son or daughter or husband or a father, wife, mother, whatever. You cannot fire anybody. You have to live with them, and then you have to be very emotionally delicate with what you do. But again, on the marketing side, how can we um, improve the revenue? So the revenue is a sad issue because it's not about profitability. We're not financial people. We are expected to help to sell more, sometimes to be more efficient, so to save costs, but we're not financially viable to say, listen, your net profit after tax will increase by 7% in the next quarter. So the added value is more into marketing planning. One of my main specializations from which I have also set a venture. The way I teach is around marketing planning, which includes everything: planning, executing, and controlling marketing activities. Because before you do, you have to think, and most people, they skip this part, they just do. So that's the contribution. And the students on the other side, they meet somebody who is mature. My two daughters, more or less, are the ages of my students. So master students, MBA, executive MBA, international MBA, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes more rarely we have corporate training, but they get an added value, which they meet somebody who knows both ends, the practical side and the tools. Let's call them tools, not methodologies. But there are also some methodologies, frameworks that you can think better, or can guide you better through. So that's my added value in brief.
Okay, cool. So, what did I want to say about that? So, people don't want to think, they just want to do. That's also my experience. Why is that, Danny?
Because people need results, and marketing, unfortunately, is a cost center. It's not a profit center. You can say sales is a profit center, but not marketing. So they want to go through this cost black box, which sometimes is unknown to them, as far as possible. So let's do things. If everybody has a website, let's have a website. If everybody is on Instagram, let's go on Instagram. And if it's in China, whatever everybody does, let's say use the KOLs, key opinion leaders. Let's use key opinion leaders. It's like a herd. One person is going ahead, and let's follow the trend. Let's follow the herd. So by following the trends, you have to do things. And a good example is what you are a specialist as well of digital marketing, and that's a good example. Digital marketing took over. These buzzwords like new media and digital marketing and all these tools are great, but they're just tools to do. It's nothing to do with strategy, which means to think before you do. So you can be expert of many tools, but if I'm giving you the tool or the access to the tool, okay, what do you do with it? And then you have to think back, go back, reverse engineering all the way to analyze, and then to set your objectives, and only then go back to these tools and then select the right tools and pass on the right message and on the right medium with the right medium or media if you use a few, and then you might have a result. So I think most people just look at the cost side, and then they want to go through that very quickly, and hopefully they believe that marketing is like a magic solution to make more money, and that's why they're trying to go over and skip maybe the thinking phase, the analysis phase, and sometimes the objective phase.
Okay, good. Right, so there's two things I want to talk to you about. So the first thing is you say that this isn't about profit. There's three things I want to talk to you about. You're very clearly and distinctly talking about marketing as distinct, I think, from sales. So that's a question I have. You're saying that I think when I go to see my clients, I talk to them about profit because I think of sales and marketing rather than just marketing. Um, and I think it's about profit. I think if you can drive down your cost of customer acquisition and drive up your customer value, there is a profit benefit in there for customers, for businesses. Yeah. So those are the how many is that? Two things, or is it three things? Let's go with those two things. Something else will occur. Two things occur to me every time you start speaking, so we won't run out of questions.
So, so let's focus on the first issue. You want me to focus on this issue of profitability versus sales?
No, you said that we aren't as marketers involved in profitability. We can't say that we will increase your profitability by 7%. I would say to my clients that I'm here to increase your profitability.
Okay, where does it come from? When you help so many years, so many businesses, small businesses, you realize that sometimes you can help them to make more money on the top of the top end, so the revenue is higher. But on the other hand, you are not always aware of the different costs they have to add on board. Example,
Okay.
hiring another person. So it's nice to say that you can have more unique users and your fund is more efficient and your conversion is better. So what? We cannot control that. We can promise that there will be more transactions, but we cannot even higher average transaction will increase. But we cannot be accounted for not employing more people, for not having more service providers to help you with our mission. You know, you might have other indirect costs with it associated with our recommendations. So you can have an increase in costs, but you have to understand normally when you have more sales, you will have also more costs. And that's a frustration sometimes when the costs are quite fixed and the revenue is increasing. And the more you work, you have more or less the same percentage of net profit after tax. It's more money nominally, but it's the same more or less percentage that you have to handle. So your pressure is more and more into the top line to bring more money because now you're hiring two more people, which means two more families are being fed by you. So the pressure is increasing and doesn't mean that the net profit after tax is really higher. That's my point.
Okay. So what I'm interested in is you see, every time you speak, there's two questions because we could be here for a month if you keep speaking. Okay. So for me, then it's a question of how much of this is marketing. Like for me, I would say I say that the whole of business is marketing. Essentially, that's what I think, and it should start before you do anything else. Before you decide on a market, before you decide on a product or what you're charging or which platforms you're going to use or any of those things, you should start with your market. You should start with marketing, which is identifying a market. So that's identifying people with money to satisfy a need or a desire. That's what I kind of think. And only then you should develop a product, and only then you can calculate the costs, and only then you can calculate and so on and so on and so on. So maybe for me, marketing is a deeper activity, but pricing is fascinating. I've just spoken to like a pricing specialist. I've just posted a conversation with a pricing specialist. That for me is something that people also don't think about at all, like how much they're going to charge or what is the optimum price, you know. But that for me is key to strategy, like certainly the price. um, what's the question? So there was another thing that you said. So yeah, so for me the cost of customer acquisition typically, it's certainly in the top 500 Fortune 500 businesses, is in excess of 30%. And people don't know, they don't factor this cost. So typically those businesses will spend somewhere between 11 and 13% on um, marketing, and they will spend somewhere between 17 and 20% on sales. So the cost of customer acquisition is 30%. And people don't factor that into their costings. So if you are selling at a 20% margin, but you haven't factored your 30% cost of customer acquisition, businesses are essentially selling themselves out of business. I hear what you're saying. To get a client to actually allow you sufficiently into their business to understand their profit and loss and their costs and all of these things is really, really difficult. But I think it's entirely necessary. That's what I think. So
Yeah, again, we're not objective. You and me we're not objective. We think about marketing a lot. You say the whole business is marketing. Speak to a financial person, they'll tell you the whole business is financial. Everything is around money and cost and so on. So it's a way of looking at things. We have to be more balanced. We have to obviously work with and respect our colleagues from the other end, like engineers, financial people, obviously HR, IT. Let's not forget operations, logistics, and so on. So we are part of a machine. But when you speak to a small business of 5 people, you have to understand that you have to find a solution. Who will do the marketing for them? Is it somebody from the company, one of the 5 founders or employees, or is it a service provider, or is it a mentor that should, there are many solutions out there, but marketing is not everything. It's not about everything. It's just about a tool that is respected to improve the image all the way to the bottom line. Again, we're not responsible for that, but we can definitely help to increase sales and exposure and so on. That's about, again, the way we have to find our respected place. And in big corporations, you have the chief marketing officer who has the role of, again, image and how can you shift the perception of your brand in the eyes of clients. But when we speak about small businesses, it's not, and other issues are in stake. So we have to definitely understand it's not everything about marketing, not everything is around us. We're just contributing. That's why I'm not working with larger companies, because when I consulted larger companies, they respected a lot the know-how. They even accepted to start and change some things. But then when you leave, your mission is done, then nothing happens, normally. A lot of politics, a lot of other intrigues. So let's not talk about large corporations because they do not represent too much of the economy. They represent a lot of self-promotion, self-image. They do a lot about their brands, but the markets are made of small and medium and also micro. Let's not forget micro businesses, people of one person.
yes.
Is very important for the economy.
Okay, you won't get me disagreeing with that. I think that small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, are driving economies globally, and I don't think they get enough respect for that. The reason I say that, so not marketing, but sales and marketing is business, is because the accounts people can say it's all about accounts, the engineers can say it's all about. There is no money coming into the business until sales and marketing have done their job, is what I think. And a business is essentially about generating profits. So I define sales and marketing as finding or attracting, winning, and keeping customers profitably. And that's also the way that I define a business. So that's why I think it's the same thing. I don't. I
Well,
don't. Yep.
let's not forget that we forgot one element in the formula. It's the characteristics and the personality of the person. As a client, a student, a manager, a founder, sometimes the personality means that it's a great person to develop something, but horrible to sell it. And you can find in cultures where the whole culture is about developing new things, but not really good in selling it, not good in managing large companies. I'm based in Israel for quite many years now. In Israel, you see the example. There are 6,000 active ventures. There are many great products that you're using, like everybody on earth is using, originally developed here in Israel. But the Israelis are not very good in developing and taking the company to the next level, on a global level or international level. And they're just good in their small, like we call it, garage sale. You have a few things to sell, secondhand. Let's do a garage sale, and then get rid of it, and then move on. Same here for ventures. They're very good in these small teams to get quickly the right funding, and Israel is a great ecosystem for that. You have the right mentorship, the right environment to support you. It's a lot about we're proud to fail. It's great to fail. It's not the case in every economy and every culture. So let's not forget the factor of personality/culture.
Mm. Okay, I'm pushing back because this is what I think, So, and we need to have a challenging, interesting conversation. Um, yeah, I object. I've worked in environments where there's boffins producing solutions that they've imagined. For me, a key component of marketing is being able to identify the need of a market and develop to that need rather than having boffins sitting in a corner and just creating genius and then expecting sales and marketing to sell it. But it's not the most important thing, I don't think. So it's interesting that you say, I think there are two kind of types of business. There are marketing and sales led businesses, and there are solution led businesses, technology led businesses. So I know that that exists. So why do these businesses, they don't want to do it because they are driven by action? I think another reason that they don't want to sit down and strategize with marketeers is because we speak so much jargon, so much junk all the time. So it feels like it's not going to be a fruitful conversation.
And we
Um,
speak too much on the other hand, so we are more verbal, we're more communicative, we're using more our right side of the brain, the right side, the right hemisphere. As when you could compare it with other people, they want to see the numbers, they want to see the formulas, they want to see a framework, and they don't meet it very quickly with us. So sometimes we disengage, we don't communicate well with, again, engineers, financial people, top managers who became managers, but originally they were coming from finance or supply chain slash engineers, IT, and so on. And then the language is different. It's not about only jargon, like vocabulary and a glossary that you have in your mind. It's also we have too many words and not enough numbers. Let's face it.
okay, so that's interesting. I spoke to, probably about the time we first attempted this, I spoke to a guy called Robert Craven. And the headline for that video was, "Isn't it ironic that marketing have done such a bad job of marketing themselves?" Because I think the things that you're talking about are the things that marketing is supposed to be able to do, like speak to people in their own language, develop a value proposition, and deliver a value proposition. So I don't know if that's a valid reason for getting resistance. Like, surely we are here to overcome that resistance, to make it easy for people to appreciate what we're proposing and to take it up and to implement it and to have more value in their lives.
Yes, what you say is cool and is correct. We're not always very good in marketing itself. And the proof for that, when you look around the world, you're looking for marketing associations. Let's look for International Marketing Association. What do you find? You find an American organization, the American Marketing Association. You find the British one as well, the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and that's it. These are the two representatives of marketing, but it's a joke. The Americans present mainly the big companies and less the discipline, and the British represent solely the academy. So we don't have really a representative. That's why we have to fight our own way through. And it's not. It's quite common that every person would say, "Listen, how can you generalize marketing?" I'm talking about tools. I've developed a marketing plan methodology, and I've created a whole website around it, marketingplanmode.com it's called. So how can you said the word strategize. Many people don't even use the word properly to begin with. So we need standards. And when you speak to people about standards, they why? Every client is unique. Every idea is creative. We're very creative people here. We're in the creative industries sometimes, and we have to think differently. And what about inventing the wheel each time? Why? Why is it the case? I had a chance to work with, as a consultant less, but as an employee with VP marketers. Again, I mentioned MasterCard, Four Seasons. And when they have to address a project or a plan, they don't know where to start. So they use the template of the company or their own habits. So every person in the world sees marketing in a different way. And the word strategy is the same story. When you're missing a word in English, you say, how do I? Oh, it's a strategy. I have a strategic talk now. It doesn't mean anything. Uh, so people use the words wrong, and maybe we have also not a very good ambassadors, people who developed marketing, like modern marketing in the 60s. Um, they did a good thing, of course, but they came from academy, and their names are around us still. Michael Porter and Philip Kotler, and I respect them a lot and wish them best of health and everything great. But on the other hand, marketing is not the 4P, and it's not just about SWOT analysis, and it's not about these tools. It's about a way of thinking, a way of analyzing, and then you have your objectives, and then you can go on an action plan, and then you have to check yourself. So they gave us these, like way, direction, but we have to revolutionize that. And
Okay.
maybe talk a new language, and it's not a new marketing, it's not a new media, just to clarify whatever exists there, and that's why I believe you need standards.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So this is insane. I think there are 6 million VAT registered businesses in the UK. I think it's gone up in the last 20 years from 4 million. So that is businesses turning over, I don't know what you have to turn over. I think it's more than 40 or 50,000 pounds a year. My experience of serving that market is 95% of them are struggling, like essentially huge numbers of small businesses are essentially servicing overdrafts is what's going on. So there is clearly a need in the market, and my experience is, like, it's not accounts, like it's not accountants, everyone's got an accountant, everyone's paying what little tax they have to pay. It's not logistics necessarily, it's that they don't have enough customers. And then there might be a variety of reasons. They may not have identified their market properly. They might not have developed the right solution. They might not have put the right messaging together or the right options or picked the right channels, or it might be all of those things. But one thing is, and this might be a characteristic of the UK, I don't know, but one thing is that they don't want to market their business. They don't want to market and sell their business. They don't want to do that. And then when you motivate them to do that, you find that they don't value themselves, they don't value what they do, so they don't want to start jumping up and down and shouting about it. So where I started with this little diatribe was, it's insane. There are 6 million businesses. They really need good marketing. Why is nobody filling that gap? Because as far as I can see, everyone I've spoken to here has been amazing and is doing a great job for their customers, but nobody is filling that gap. The 6 million businesses that need that support.
Yeah, you're talking about millions of small businesses within the venture. We try to see, in Europe, in India, in the States, in some countries, how many small businesses there are. But it's not too much about the number, because the number, depends on the definition. Each Ministry of Economy or each government would qualify a small and medium business differently. It's sometimes by the number of employees, sometimes by the revenue, sometimes by both. So you are right, definitely right, that many businesses, I would say most small businesses, fail very quickly, and that's the statistics. Now, you say 95, I think you're too harsh. It's less than that. But you can follow small and medium businesses in different disciplines, like restaurants is horrible statistics. It's only 3 out of 4, but it's very fast, like 6 months. And these statistics are released by governments, by very
75% fail or 25% fail in 6 months?
no 75. Three out of
75%
four
of
would close
restaurants
within
fail
six
in six
months.
months.
But it's very harsh. It's very fast. It's a lot about your own money, your own capital. You have some debts maybe. But it's just an example of a sector we like to speak about because everybody knows what is a restaurant. If you speak about something less common, people might disassociate. So definitely, when we speak about, for example, new ventures. Again, here in Israel, we know about a lot about new ventures, and we know that number you use, I can use around 95% would fail. But when you speak about small businesses, it's not about a venture to open a shop selling some products or a basic service, a clinic or any other service that you offer. Again, you have very rough times, and I don't think it's just about marketing. My conclusion after so many years of consulting this sector of SMEs is that it's about management. If you are divorced 3 times, you cannot be a consultant of a happy family life. And same thing, if you're a very bad time manager, you can expect your business to seem efficient. And if you're a very bad money manager for your own family, you are handling one account with your business and with your household, and it's a mess. You cannot expect to do it well in a business of your own. So I think that people obviously are not perfect. We're far from being perfect, but we have to see sometimes what are our own assets, as a talent. And talent is not just if I know to sing or dance. It's first of all, can I manage myself? And later, can I manage others? Like I have a family. And only then am I able to manage another business. Business is a commitment. You have the people, you have the assets, the economic issues. So it's all about management, I think. And let's meet in the middle between you and me. Let's call it marketing management. That's the main problem. Sales is only a small part of that, but the title is definitely in front of us, written here. It's marketing management, lack of understanding, lack of using, lack of respecting. And that's the problem.
People don't know what marketing is. There are 6,000 searches a month for the question, what is marketing? Every month. That's in the UK. So people don't know what marketing is. People don't know what any of this stuff is. People go into business and they don't know that being in business is an exercise in having customers profitably. That's the whole gig. Nothing else happens until you get to that situation. And then what happens is they go out to the market when they finally realize this is what's required and they get rinsed. They get all of their resources taken away from them and they get dumped and then, it's over. It's it feels like I don't really know what a Ponzi scheme is. I want to say it feels like a Ponzi scheme. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and surely the if that's true in the restaurant business, every supplier must know in the restaurant business we've got 6 months to get as much money out of these people as quickly as possible before they go away. So it's horrible. So it sounds to me then like what you're saying, this idea that there should be standards in marketing, is entirely sensible. But what on earth would those standards look like?
Okay, that's why after so many years of experience with SMEs and with students, we have created a certain platform. It's now under what we call minimal viable service, MVS. Some may call it MVP, minimal viable product, just to see if it works, just to see if the very first path, if the very first part of it works. But it's just to allow SMEs to be channeling and to be channeled by a software. What can we do? Our life is controlled by software anyway, but to ask the right questions and to gather the right data, and then to try to propose to you some objectives. And then if you approve it, or we can rectify it, to allow you and to propose to you some actions. But only after you go through a process of you have to be patient and to give the right time and to allocate time to give us the right data. So it's a lot about marketing finally, and then I might surprise you or not, but for me, marketing finally is all about, it's not about knowledge. It's all about what to ask. And it's a lot about who to ask. So put me in any company in the world, I can challenge you, except maybe extractors of raw materials, but if not, or monopolies. Take me to any other company in the world. I will try to find out first of all, who should I speak to? Is it management or line employees? That's normally the answer. And then once I'm in front of a person, I will start to ask hopefully the right questions. And then very quickly, I will try to understand what is this company about, what is their main challenge, and maybe how can I help? So marketing is not about knowing many things. It's not about, sitting in our courses and learning so much. It's about just to be sensitive enough to know who to speak to and to know what to ask. And who to speak to is not only the clients. The best group to speak to sometimes are the potential clients. Why you were attracted by this brand, or product or shop or whatever, but why didn't you buy from them? What were the barriers? And the next group is definitely the clients, and then you can speak to the loyal clients, and that's easy. But then you can speak to employees, you can speak to consultants, suppliers, all the stakeholders around. And then you can learn more about marketing and how to solve a problem. But it has to follow a certain methodology. And that's why I spent hundreds of hours to specify a logic tree that will allow any business in the world. That's funny, but any business of a certain size, okay, not huge businesses, but even in a huge business, you might be responsible in a certain unit, with 10 employees, and you're still a small business. You're a small strategic business unit, SBU, or a small profit center within a corporation. So it's for many, many usages, but mainly SMEs, a platform which is standardized, which adjusts itself to you, whether you are selling a product, a service, or both. So that's a solution. That's my future. That's my vision, to be able to help any micro, small, or medium business to better handle marketing. And on the way, to learn a bit more, what is it, all this knowledge behind, and to respect it maybe a little further.
Okay, so how many questions are in this logic tree?
Depends who you are. So if you can skip few things, you have less questions. If you're advanced marketer, in the beginning we asked you, is it an existing business or a new business? So it's only meant for existing businesses. So you have to be relevant for this tool. And later we can ask you, are you an advanced marketer or a beginner, non-marketer? And then you can ask you, are you digitally advanced as marketing tools are concerned, or are you new to this world? So the system adjusts itself to who you are, first of all. The very first question is, what is your rapport? What is your relationship with SMEs? Are you a manager? Are you taking part of management? That's the first option. Another option is that, are you a service provider to an SME? The third can be, are you interested in SMEs in general as a student? But these are the kind of, first of all, who are you really in relation to SMEs? And then you have all the classic questions, how many employees and what you sell, where is it in the world, in one country, a few countries. All the possible options are there. So you can imagine a very massive logic tree behind.
That is what I'm imagining. And I'm imagining that it could be done if marketing were the science that you think it is. But it would be a huge undertaking. And I kind of did something like this about 15 years ago. I don't know why. I went to, like, I don't know, Survey Monkey, or not, Survey Monkey, or one of those types of things. And I put in, I want to say 50 questions. And it was literally, take our online marketing serve, answer our, do it, and we'll get back to you and we'll have a response. And then I forgot about it. And I don't know why I didn't get the alerts or the reminders, maybe because it was 2006 and things didn't really work well in 2006 or 2007. But sometime later, 6 or 7 months later, I went back and there was, I'm not even joking, 35 responses, and people had completed all 50 of these questions. I shouldn't admit to this because this is obviously the worst marketing you've ever heard of, or potentially the best. The thing is, by the time somebody's sat there and gone through 50 questions, they're pretty committed to sorting out their marketing, So I wonder if they're still sitting in a SurveyMonkey account somewhere. That might be interesting. So I think, but you can do this So it sounds to me like we're eating each end of the apple necessarily. I'm doing the attitude stuff. I want people to know that marketing is necessary, it is achievable, and it is probably much less difficult than people think. That's what I want to do with these videos. And you're doing the very practical, answering these questions will get you towards having an effective marketing plan. So that's really interesting. So, what is your recommendation then for people who want to do better at marketing planning? Is it, can they get access to your tool at this stage? Is it, what do they do now?
At this stage is, I have an investor which is not very big in money terms. So it's a small investment. It's what we call pre-seed venture. So there's not much money invested. So we're limited. We have, it's not popular to say maybe these days, but we have a Russian group to program that based in Russia. We have an Israeli managing this all together. My partner is French. But it's too preliminary. At the
Right.
moment, just marketing plan mode. Mode means for me a way of thinking, a mode of thinking. You remember with these old cameras, you had to adjust the mode,
Yes.
which mode you need. So it's the same for marketing. Just to understand, there's a state of mind. There's a certain way of thinking. That's the only thing you can see. But the product itself is being developed. We need a lot of patience because we don't have the big money. This certain saying, which I'm there as well. You don't have enough money, but you have ideas. And some people have ideas, but they don't have enough money. So normally the people with the money have no ideas. And
Yes.
we, without the money, we have at least the ideas. So we didn't meet yet the money, and we're trying to develop this minimal viable service in order to impress investors. And in Israel, there are many options for that. Venture capitalists, angels, club of angels, even governmental programs sometimes. But there's nothing yet to see. You can ask me anything you want and try to challenge me and tackle me, but
Okay.
it's a pleasure to try to demonstrate what's the next phase. Because
Okay.
that's my.
So then, if you have a recommendation for businesses, if they want to be doing better with with their marketing, it's to change their thinking. Is that what you're saying?
First of all, to understand it, not to change. We're not changing your life. We just want to tell you, listen, like you said, it's not just about definitions because we have our own glossary, but it's about understanding the state of mind. What is it about? Today, the next generation, the generation of my daughters, for example, they want instant solutions. It's like a song of 3 minutes. Let's listen to this song, and after 7 seconds, they say, no, I don't like this song. Marketing management is not about something very fast. It's not like a game. You play with it and then you get rid of it. You have to give it the time, the patience. It's like a language. You cannot expect to learn a language so quickly. You have to understand the way of thinking. You have to understand a little bit some methodologies. Okay, they can help you. It's not about them, but they can help you. And then the vocabulary a little bit. But then you have to start and move and look around you in a different way while you understand the processes better. So I think it's not changing people, but just first of all exposing it, sharing, and try to share your habits, and then we can tell you with our insight. Again, the system has a lot of insight. What should be changed? And take a simple example of databases. Most SMEs don't have a database. It's a statement by my clients, and 400 is a sample which I can definitely say this is my ownership. It's my clients in the past. Most of them have absolutely no idea of why do I need a database, what is the value of a database, what is the cost of a basic system to use the database. And this is something very basic. Manage your clients. So what we call CRM, you can call also database marketing or database management. This simple thing is lacking. So let's start with an example. And this is an example.
Yes. Okay, you're right. And I think there are so many. I think there's so little marketing going on in so many of these businesses that it's like there's like the database is an example, an effective website is another example. A YouTube channel, or there's lots of components of marketing that are so often missing. I think that's true. Okay, good. We have gone for 55 minutes, so we've almost managed this in under an hour. We have done tremendously well. There's only 2 questions remaining. So the 4th question, what should people read? What is your recommendation, your reading recommendation?
Yeah, so I'll be very straightforward. I'm dyslexic. I cannot read a lot, and I do not read a lot, and that's one of the reasons I teach, because my students read a lot, and I'm exposed to what they read. Something
Funny.
specific which I'm using. I'm registered on some feeds, like sources of newsletters that I can see from time to time. I don't have a lot of patience for them, but I get, I think, 2-3 good sources of newsletters just to check what's going on in the SME world, not necessarily marketing, but SME world. And there's one source of marketing, but marketing from the big corporations, because they are the organized ones. They invest in the knowledge. I think it's called Chief Marketing Officer
Okay.
newsletter, or CMO feed, I think it's called. So it's not something that is relevant for SMEs, but it's relevant for marketers who are interesting to see what's at the very edge of what CMOs listen to, think about, face, because later it will come to the medium companies, and later these issues will come maybe further down to the small companies. So it's like trying to anticipate the trends by
Yes.
following the big companies.
Cool. I will check that out. And then the last question is, who can you recommend, who can you introduce me to that might enjoy or at least endure to have one of these conversations with me?
I know many people. Our value is basically set on a list of contacts. I don't know a specific person, because you have to tackle me with a keyword or a mission, or give me a certain declaration of what you're looking for. It would be easier. I think every person in the street, every person that you can meet, if you ask the right questions, you have very interesting questions and answers. I think it would be interesting for you to speak to somebody representing the next generation, somebody who is much more jumpy and younger, and into representing some of the trends we're facing as senior marketers. We forget sometimes that our clients are becoming more and more the age of the next generation. So, for example, think about how many of them have ad block, how many of them never watch television, and the consumerism is different, the sources of information is different, the language is different, and we have to respect that. So I would just recommend you to invite any person who is not even a marketer but represents the younger generations. And if you ask some challenging questions, you might have surprising answers. And I think we can learn from that. So
We
there's
can.
no name at the end of the sentence, but I think it's a way of thinking to try to see online a very young person with very interesting answers.
Okay, good. And I do want to do that, but I'm not going to let you off the hook. Since we started doing this, since we spoke to you, I ask, and everybody recommends 2 people, and typically one of those people will come along, and then this is how I've got to a situation where there's now 10 of these shot already, and there's another 10 already scheduled. So this is how the ball rolls forward. And without me saying the keyword, then I'm not in control. I'm not influencing where it goes. So really it's about 2 people that that would be prepared to have this conversation. As long as they're in sales or marketing or business growth, then I'd be really keen to speak to any of those people. I might let you off the hook. If you could think of those people maybe and put me in touch afterwards, that would be really cool. But if there was, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it can be a person with an Italian accent or a French accent. It's fine. We can
That's
think
fine, yeah.
about
Yeah,
someone
if
like
you have a
that.
think about it, that'd be
Or
great.
an
If you
Israeli.
could put me in touch with someone, that would be great. Okay, cool. I think we did better. 3rd time worked the best. I'm very confident that we are going to have something that will be useful this time around. So what we'll do is we'll say goodbye now for the sake of the audience, and then I'll stop
Thank you very
recording.
much.
and then we will say goodbye like normal human beings.
Thank you very much, audience, and thank you very much, Martin.
Okay, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks, Danny.